side of the truck, all the way to the back of the truck.
Side of the truck, all the way to the back.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I knew it was the side of the
we're
truck.
gonna start. Are you gonna record it or something?
I'll
Okay.
send it to her.
Yeah, send me the video.
So we'll start on the other side. Pick some easy things. We're gonna start with the exhaust. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Make sure there's no leaks on it. There's no soot streaks.
Such streaks, okay.
We're gonna go over here to the drive shaft.
I knew this
Make
was-
sure it's properly mounted and secured at both ends. Make sure
both
it's not
ends.
cracked, bent. Stop. If you keep doing that, I'm not gonna do this. Okay. Make
No,
sure
I'm
it's-
just, my bad for interrupting you again. I was just saying, Thomas Dane.
I
you
know,
said you're
but
not gonna do
you're
it.
throwing off my.
Oh, my bad.
You're throwing me like I'm not upset or anything. I'm getting confused. Okay, it's properly mounted and secured at both ends. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, or twisted. And the U joints on it are properly mounted and secured at both ends. They're properly greased. We're gonna take a look at the frame right here. Make sure it is not cracked, bent, or broken, or twisted. All the bolts are in place. Everything looks good. The cross members look good. They are right there. They're properly mounted and secured, and they are not cracked, bent, or broken, or twisted. If you look back there, right there, there's one of two of these things right there. That is the torque arm. You're going to have to mention one of the two torque arms. You can mention that one, or there's one in the back of the truck.
Okay.
It is properly mounted and secured. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, or twisted. And then let's go to the other side. So over here, we're going to take a look at the mirror bracket. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. So all the bolts are in place. Take a look at the door. Make sure the door is properly mounted and secured, opens and closes correctly. We'll take a look at the hinges on the door. Make sure the hinges are properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. The weather stripping on it is good. It's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no dry rot. Then I'm going to take a look at the steps and the catwalk all at once. Just make sure they're all properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. They support my weight. Walking down, we'll take a look at the DEF tank. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. The cap's on tight, it's not leaking. Go over here to the fuel tank. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It is not leaking. It's got a metal cap on it that is tight. We're going to open this up at some point and check to make sure it's got a rubber seal and is in good condition, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, and it's got a chain on it. Since we're here, we'll make sure that both metal straps are properly securing it. There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts on the rubber underneath it, and the straps are not cracked, bent, or broken. All right, now we just wander under the truck. As we get down here,
What about the marker light?
I always forget it.
Okay. There's a marker light.
Yeah, marker light.
Yeah, check that mark light. It's actually a turn signal and a hazard light, but
Okay.
we'll take a look at the mud flaps. They're properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. They're no more than 8 inches off the ground. I'm going to check the DOT reflector tape on this back of the truck. Make sure it's all present and accounted for. It's not. It's in good condition. There's none missing. We'll check the two brake lights and the reverse light. Make sure they are properly mounted and secured. They're not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no moisture in them, and that the rubber seals are in good condition. The second of the two torque arms that we have is right there. We can talk about that. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, or twisted. Now, as with every axle, I'm going to go into the axle, and this one's kind of hard to see. This is why I don't like this particular part of thing. You can kind of see it over here, but we're going to start with the suspension. We start with the spring mount up there. Properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Goes into the leaf springs. They are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken, not shifted, not scissoring. 2 U-bolts, properly mounted, secured, none missing. They are not cracked, bent, or broken. The shock, properly mounted, secured at both ends. It's not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not leaking. The rubber grommets are in place. It's in good condition. Finally, my airbag, properly mounted, secured, both ends. It's not cracked, bent, or broken because it's got metal tops. There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts on it. It's not dry rotted and it's not leaking. All right, that's the brakes. That's the suspension. Next, we go into the brakes. I always start with the brake hose. You can see it right there. Just make sure it's properly mounted, secured at both ends. All the fittings are in place. There's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts on it. They're not leaking. They run into the brake chamber, which is down there. Hard to see. It's properly mounted, secured with a clamp. There's no cracks, bends, or breaks on it. It's not leaking, and the clamp is on tight. And properly mounted, secured. Blah blah blah. Okay. This is a disc brake system, so it doesn't have a slack adjuster and it doesn't have a push rod. It has a caliper, pad, and rotor. Caliper's right there. Looks like a horseshoe. It's properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. Goes into the brake pads underneath it, which are properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. They are not worn dangerously thin, and there's no oil or debris on it. Finally, there's the rotor. The rotor is properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. No grooves on it, and no sign of bluing indicative of excessive heat. That's it for the brakes. Now we go to the tires. I start with the inner rim so I don't forget it. Properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. No holes or grooves or holes or illegal welds in it. Then I go over here further to the bud spacing right here. I take a look at the spacing, make sure that it's properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken on the rims. I make sure there's no debris in the spacing. I make sure that the rims are touching each other and the tires aren't. I check the tires, the inside, the outside tire, all at once. I look, make sure there's no abrasions, bulges, or cuts on it. I make sure that the tops of them are evenly worn and at least 2 30-second tread depth. I come out here to the outside rim. I make sure the outside rim is properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no holes, illegal welds. I check the valve stems. There are 2 on this one. I make sure that they are properly mounted, secured. They're metal valve stems with metal caps on them. I'll check the inflation of these tires with a tire gauge to make sure they're filled to manufacturer specified level. I'm going to check all the lug nuts by hand for tightness. I make sure they're properly mounted, secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. I'm looking for rust streaks or shiny spots indicative of looseness. Finally, I'm going to check the axle seal. Make sure it's properly mounted, secured, all the bolts are on tight. It's not cracked, bent, or broken, and it's not leaking. That's part B.